For the Network Sound Effects Library, here's Barzman and McCormick.
Yes, well, today we're talking with the world's oldest sound effects expert.
That's right. I've been around for years and centuries, actually. Why I don't die, I don't know. I've outlived about 307,000 pets. Cats and dogs.
So you are the one who has been responsible for all of the great sound effects?
Yes, I just had that feeling for sound effects. I set up the first sound effects library way back in prehistoric times.
Now, what do they call you? What is your name, sir?
They called me Anka.
Anka.
In the prehistoric times, that meant Pops.
Pops.
Anka was.
So you were kind of like the old man.
That's right. I was an old man even then. That's right. Never knew Adam and Eve, but I'm not that old. But I might look it.
How far back do you actually go?
Oh, I'd say Cro-Magnon man, about 30,000 BC.
And you actually started making sound effects way back then?
Yes, I remember the first sound effects I rubbed two wolf skins together.
Wolf skins?
Yeah, and they made a little sound. We had trouble once in a while, though. It would give birth to a baby wolf skin if you rubbed them wrong. Yeah. And we used to get a great sound effect by squeezing a gorilla's throat back in the prehistoric days. We didn't use that one very often, by the way. I had 3 assistants in those days, and they're gone.
Yes, yes. Now, what about, like, if you wanted to make the sound of a telephone ringing? How would you make a phone?
Well, in prehistoric times, that was really difficult. I used to try and do take dried acorns and string them together and then jingle them. And that would give a sound. We didn't know what it was, but it made a sound effect of a phone ringing.
But no one would answer the acorns.
Well, one squirrel did once. I didn't have the heart to tell him.
Why did people back in those days need sound effects? What were sound effects used for?
Well, in ancient times, there were whole eras. You've heard of the Golden Age and all that. Well, there was a lazy area. There was an area in history where everyone was too lazy to go out and actually create events. I used to fake it for them. There's a part of history. That's right. I mean, there were no chariot races. We used to I'd take an oily ox cart and I'd make it sound so that people in the future would say, well, they must have been really some era there, but they never did it. I used to pretend that there were battles going on, and I'd take.
You made wars. You could
wars. Yeah, I'd fake that so that the people could actually lie around and drink, and they didn't care. And I made it look like a lot of things were going on in those days. Your history books are all full of my sound effects.
In other words, you were actually responsible for the whole ambiance of history.
That's right. I mean, the Egyptians, they just laid around, and I made the sound of them building a pyramid. I'd take rocks, pound them together. It sounded like a lot of people working.
What were the main items that you used to make these sound effects?
We used a rock, a stick. I used to kick my foot in a river to make a sound of a flushing noise, and then I would take skins, of course, and I would rap on bald guys' heads and make them open their mouths, and then they'd close them, and it made different echo sounds. I would go in a cave and step on things, and whatever squealed, I would save that.
Now, what about fire?
Fire, yes. Fire was a great sound effects thing. But after 2 or 3 cities, it was no good. Sodom, Gomorrah, those were...
Used it up?
I got those, and it was hard to... We didn't have anything to record with, so I had to remember them all, and then redo them.
Yeah. But today you can technically make the sound of fire by sprinkling
that's right. I can make that, and I still use mud a lot, even today. There's modern mud.
What did you use mud for in those days?
Mud was the sound of a gladiator falling when a lion knocked him down.
You would just throw some mud?
Throw some mud, and it made the sound of him. And then various weights of gladiators would be various sized muds. And then I'd also stick mud in people's heads and then punch them. And that was a good soft sound. It sounded like a bag of grits falling off a car.
Well, let's talk a little bit about today's sound effects. Today we have all kinds of marvelous sounds that you obviously didn't have.
I know. It puts me to shame. It just embarrasses me when I look at my old library.
Well, obviously, back in those days, you didn't have access to the wonderful sound effects that are available
No, I just had to improvise and be as smart as I could about it. Yeah.
Well, for example, here is the sound of a cuckoo clock.
Yeah, back in those days, of course, I had to do what I could, so I'd take the dumbest guy in town and hit him right between the eyes. And a lot of times he came close, but, people didn't know that. And there was no Switzerland at that time.
No Switzerland.
No, that's right. So they
How would you make the sound of Switzerland?
The sound of Switzerland is to have a fat guy sit on a piece of cheese. And then when the holes arrived, you blew in it, and it sounded just like Switzerland on a hot July day.
Yodel?
No thanks.
Okay. I'd like to play a ship's horn for you.
Okay. Well, are you in a symphony orchestra?
Okay, now that was a ship's horn. Now, how would you, back, let's say, during the times of, prehistoric times, they didn't even have ships.
No, I'd take a yak with a sore throat and beg him to holler.
Okay. Okay, now let's listen to this. This is a very interesting sound. This is a squeaky door opening and closing.
Yeah, well, that's great.
That's a good.
Yeah, I'd take a little teenage girl and try and scare the devil out of her by showing her my back.
And that would be the sound of
it was a reverse flash.
Here's the sound of eating and crunching. Okay, now you heard that sound. How would you have made the sound of eating and crunching?
Well, a lot of times we couldn't get people to let us do it, so we had to wait till it was digesting. And then if you take the sides of a person's belly and press it when they have a full stomach, you can get that crunch sound, even though it's a little muffled. But they didn't care. People nowadays are very precise. They want good things. And there are a lot of old-time sound effects. I notice even today they're not up to date.
Well, you see, today you can, because they're all cataloged and classified. I mean, you didn't have any kind of system for keeping track of these.
No, I didn't. And even today, people have not updated their sound effects things. I'm amazed.
Now I'd like to play you the sound of a helicopter. Okay, now what would you do how would you make a helicopter sound?
I'd take a box and put usually 3 to 350 butterflies in it, and then kick it around.
Okay, I'm going to play a sound. I'm going to try and fool you. I mean, these sound effects are so realistic. I mean, I'm going to play a sound effect now, and then let's see if you know what that is. Okay, here's this sound effect. Okay, do you know what that sound is? I'm just quizzing you to see if you know what that was.
Yes, isn't that a monk waking up in the morning?
No, actually, that's a vacuum cleaner.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the monks have adenoids that are huge.
Here's a harp. I'd like you to hear this harp. Now, that, of course, was a musical instrument, a musical sound.
Well, it is now, but in those days we used to do it to slice eggs, hard-boiled eggs.
Oh, you used the harp
just shove the egg right through the harp.
What about this sound effect? I'd like you to hear this one. Do you know what that was?
I think it is a man sitting on a bag full of sewage.
Well, you're close. I mean, it was a sink draining.
Ah.
I know they didn't have sinks back in medieval times. Did they have sinks back?
No. We used to dig a hole in the middle of the cave, and at the end of the month, you never went near it.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about this sound effect? Do you know what that sound effect is?
I think that is an insane man pulling the hair out of a baboon's back.
No, that was a blender. I know you didn't have blenders either back in those days.
No, we didn't, but we did drink.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you wanted to slice vegetables, how would you make the sound of vegetable slicing?
Toss them up in a tornado.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have them that often.
Well, see, this is the sound of vegetable slicing today. Much more realistic, wouldn't you say?
Very good, yes. I can eat a salad without using my mouth.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's chickens clucking. Did you have, listen to these chickens clucking. You would know that those were chickens clucking, wouldn't you?
No, that sounded like the Battle of Cromwell to me. There were a lot of cowards in that thing, and believe it or not, the cowards, when they were running from battle, sounded just like chickens.
Clucking?
And speaking of that, during the Napoleonic Wars, I used to do sound effects of the army laughing. Mm-hmm. And they laughed Napoleon right back from Moscow, from the gates of Moscow, yes.
As he was retreating?
That's right. They would stick their heads up in the trenches, and then you hear this laughing sounds of thousands of prisoners. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Well, I know that throughout recorded time and history, man has always been interested and fascinated by space. And what did you use to make space sounds for?
Well, actually, being so old in times, space to us was the distance between an ugly girl's teeth. Mm-hmm. And that was our space program, was to try and fill those in.
Mm-hmm. No, but I mean the cosmos and
oh, yes.
galaxies.
Well, that kind of represented birds and things, and pigeons, and pigeons with no statues to land on were murder.
Well, look, I'm going to give you some space sounds here. Here's like a laser guns. And this is a robot. And this is a space honk. Now, you didn't have... Now, if you wanted to make those kind of sound effects in those days, you couldn't do that.
No, we'd take a boomerang and hurl it in the air, but I could never throw one of those away. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah.
But it made nice sound, though.
When it came back.
Sound, yeah.
What about sports? The sounds of sports are very exciting.
Yes.
I know sport has always been around. Man has always competed and played sports. I'm going to play here. Here's a ping pong sound effect.
Oh, yes. We used to play mouse pong. Get a mouse pong, glue your hand hard, and knock these little mice back and forth over a rock. And another sport we used to have is combing the glass out of winos' hairs. We used to do that on Monday mornings.
That was competitive?
Yeah, you could hear it. It made a nice sound.
Now, cymbals and drum rolls, these are all were throughout, fanfares and those kind of things. So listen to this drum roll. Now that portended of something important.
The percussion sounds I used to get by recording the heartbeat of a man that had a rhythmic that was nervous. When a guy thought he was going, when a lion came at him, we'd record his heartbeat, and that became the beat that I used, and flamenco dancers used to rehearse to it.
How would you do a gong? Here's a gong. Okay, how would you do a gong?
Well, back in 380 BC, we had a show that began with
that sound effect?
Yes. Well, we used to hit a village idiot right in the small of the back. and he would say the word gong, and people bought that.
If you've been looking for a sound effects library that doesn't sound like it was recorded in the olden days, then you just might want to check out the new Network Sound Effects package. The Network Sound Effects library contains 87 exclusive whispered disc stereo records that are super quiet, 3,000 different sound effects that are individually voice slated and individually banded for easy location on a record side. You're provided with an incredible catalog of 12,000 cross-references, all fully described and alphabetically arranged. There's a one-time payment with no continuing usage fees. And finally, we realize that you really need to listen to the complete library before making a final decision. Therefore, after we send you the library, if for any reason you don't like what you hear, simply return the materials within 30 days for a complete refund or credit. Well, the next step is up to you. Please feel free to give us a call at toll-free 800-854-2075 if you have any additional questions or if you'd like us to process your order by telephone. You're also welcome to use the order form contained with the accompanying brochure. We'd like to leave you with this concluding thought. There are many sound effects libraries from the olden days. Why not try one that was created for today?
Well, with this new Network Sound Effects library, I imagine that it looks like your days are numbered now in the sound effects business.
That new Network Sound Effects library is so great, there's no point in me even being around anymore except for historical reasons. You know?
What do you think that you're going to be doing now? I mean, this is going to put you out of business, isn't it?
Oh, I've enrolled in dental school. I'm going to be a dentist.
Before you go, could you, I'm sure you have so many marvelous stories.
Well, actually, the most momentous, the thing I remember the most is not too long ago, I was up in the mountains near Nevada, and I was recording an Indian doing some smoke signals. And lo and behold, they had an atomic test in the distance, and a huge mushroom cloud went up, and the Indian turned to me, pointed to it, and said, "I wish I had said that."